Me neither.
Like,
I only know like they study at home.
yeah.
That's, yeah.
Like, are their parents like?
Make them.
Yeah. Okay, teachers. Like, parents aren't trained teachers, right?
Right. Oh. Do they get learned by their parents or teachers?
Yeah, I think it's by their parents. Like, they're taught by their parents.
Oh, not formal teachers.
Yeah, it's not actual teachers. So I think it's because from lesser education, tertiary economy, education.
Right.
With left hand, remove potential options for the child.
Calling civic order, I can invite Otto up to the stand to deliver a 6-minute instructor speech. First and last minute is protected. Start whenever you want.
All right, thank you, judges, moderators, the honorable opposition for coming here today to discuss this bill that this House would ban homeschooling. This House being Canada. Now, we, as side proposition, decide that you cannot gain a formal degree from homeschooling. Let me go over some things here. It must go through a government-sanctioned school, like a high school, elementary school. Also, we believe that online schooling is still okay. And if you are outside of a 50-kilometer range of a government-sanctioned school, it is okay. We still allow homeschooling under those conditions. Now, I'd like to jump right into my first 2 points. I'm going to go over those. The first being that we believe this provides a lesser education and a lesser use of facilities for children, which inherently can cause harms. And secondly, how this narrows the development of children as people. Now, first of all, to go into my lesser education point. Now, we live in a society where to fully develop as a person, or we live in a society where the tertiary economy is one of the biggest, the tertiary sector is the biggest part in our economy, relying on people that have a lot of skills to do jobs. To go to a school where you don't have any, to go to school at your own home, where you don't have any connections with outside society, you don't have a look at society, you're losing a lot of extracurriculars. We believe this damages the children because they're losing out on a lot of experiences. And experiences define you as a person. I'll take you in a second. Now they aren't given the ability to perform these extracurriculars beyond their own society. They can't perform in schools extracurriculars, and this is damaging. Yes.
You say that they cannot interact with society as much. However, has today's society not changed to allowing for sociological interaction through the use of programs such as Skype, Facebook, all these things that allow interaction?
Who most do you talk to on Skype? You talk to people you've met at school. Kids don't go around talking to adults on the internet. They don't just go on the internet and say, hey bro, what's up? Generally the people they talk to are through school. People they know through school connections are people they've gained through school. And my partner's going to talk about how these closed social circles are damaging and how they're bad and what they are. So back to my point of a lesser education. Now, as I said, there's a lack of extracurriculars in homeschooling. And you're mostly taught by your parents, who are not people who've gone through university to become a teacher, to know how to better teach a student than your parents. And we believe this human interaction is necessary for a better education. That's one of the things humans naturally do is teach. A human doesn't just go into life and automatically know how to hunt and gather for itself. It needs to be taught. And that's a natural human instinct, is to teach and be taught. These teachers go through school to learn, to be able to impart this knowledge on these kids so they can proceed in life. And to not have that, to have your parents do it, who may not be knowledgeable or who are maybe reading out of a textbook, who isn't necessarily inundated with the proper knowledge to, I'll take you in a second, to the proper knowledge to efficiently and properly teach their kids for each individual learning style, is damaging, yes.
In distance ed homeschooling, it's not the parent who is teaching the child, it's actually for certified teachers with BC degrees.
Okay, so these are government-recognized people who are coming here who have these teaching degrees who are, I guess you'd say, I don't know what you were talking about, are they traveling to these homes? I'm not quite sure if you could cover that later. But the point here we're trying to cover is like if parents were teaching their kids, or people who aren't necessarily knowledgeable, who haven't taken like the proper government regulated courses and university courses to fully know about kids, about students, about what are they teaching. And now I can get to my next point, how this narrows the development of children as people. Now, these kids are living at home. They're basically at home their whole lives until they grow up and enter the world. Now, there's a very narrow view on the world when you're listening to only things coming from your parents. One of the benefits of school is you see a radical change in opinions. There's so many different things out there. You can pick up and learn to be who you are. You have many different things to choose from. But at home, you're limited to your parents' views, and that's about it. You can use the internet to see other things, but as it comes down to is your parents is the final authority. They're the only people you've ever looked up to. And you're effectively becoming clones of your parents. Now, while there are changes, there are inherent biological changes and other changes, you are just listening to the opinions and just relying on the knowledge of your parents. Whereas we believe this is damaging because kids cannot fully understand everything, and if they get a wider view of the world, they can make better decisions that are better for them and better suited for them and can help them develop better. As we've shown you, you're defined by your experiences. If your experiences are limited, your development is limited. So therefore, we believe that this homeschooling is damaging to these kids, and that's very important because kids are the future. And if we have these kids that are not, they aren't learning the best abilities, they aren't developing the best they can, it's our job to step in and say, we believe that these kids should go to these schools, if possible, to gain a better education, to be better people, and be able to develop more so than stuck at home. So what we've shown you is we've shown you our bill. We've come here today. We've shown you that you cannot get a formal degree. You cannot enter the world unless you've gone through a government-sanctioned school. If feasible, we believe that 50 kilometers away. My partner will talk about how 50-kilometer range. And then we've shown you that online schooling is still cool because you're still interacting online. And we've shown you how it's a lesser education and it narrows, and it's a dangerous lack of development on the children's part. And we believe these harms need to be addressed. Thank you.
I now have to call Brett to the floor to deliver a constructive speech, not lasting more than 6 minutes, first last minute protected. Start where you want.
I'd like to thank everybody in attendance today, the honorable proposition, honorable judges, and my partner here today. Okay, I'd like to start off today with some rebuttal to the honorable proposition's points, then I'd like to go into my own constructive points of the effect upon people with disabilities who the conventional school system does not work for, or how the passing of this law would remove potential options for these children, and then I would like to go into then I'd like to expand on some of our point and on their point about the lack of social interaction. So first of all, they brought up how this is a lesser education because the parents are not trained by the government. However, I'd like to bring up several points to negate this. First of all, the homeschooling, you cannot just go find a textbook on each subject and then go, okay, learn this. Each person who enters homeschooling is required by the government